Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the few in attendance and the thousands listening around the world, let's get ready to gamble. My name is Tony Cavallo. As always, I'm joined by Matthew Dangles, D'Angelo Antonio, Schaefer the Sharp, Drew Schaefer Crookson, and we are the West Coast Gamblers, a proud member of the Evergreen Podcast Network and the only gambling show that makes you money. And I'm going to kick it over right at the start to the man who made all of the money last week, Mr. Schaefer the Sharp himself, our resident Sharp. He went 4-1 in the King of the Coast section. He hit his Thursday night bet. He hit his Sunday night lock. All that stuff we'll be giving out as the show goes. But Drew, a 6-1 week for you in the heart of Vegas. Now you're back in Michigan. Do you think the luck has run out? Or are you ready to continue this?
Tony, the luck has just begun, my man. The only fear you have in this business is lack of preparation. We do not have lack of preparation in this podcast, in this group. But I will say, it felt good to be on the right side of some coin flips. You're going to have to get lucky. You're going to have to, your ace king's going to have to win over pocket tens, in poker. And listen, the Falcons Giants game, the Dolphins Raiders game, those are, any way you look at it, those are coin flips down the end. I was on the right side of him, and I'll take him.
Oh, yeah. And you are undefeated on teasers thus far. We'll be giving out teasers during the King of the Coast section. We're going to start off with the Thursday night leans, but I do want to say when it comes to the King of the Coast section, we all deserve a pat on the back because we have the trademarked back up the Brinks truck bet, our best bet of the week, our best side of the week, and every one of these hosts that you'll be listening to today nailed their Brinks truck bet last week, and I got a good feeling about mine this week. Dangles, how you feeling heading into week 4 of the NFL season? It's almost October.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel like Mac Jones. I'm hot and cold. I'm kind of on, then I'm off, then I'm on, then I'm off. I had one good weeks and bad weeks. I'm trying to remedy that. I guess if you're looking at history, this week should be a good week for me because I kind of had a down week last week if we're following that pattern. But we'll see. I feel pretty good about a couple of these bets, including my Sunday night lock.
Can't wait.
In this Tampa Bay Patriots game where on DraftKings, if you happen to be shopping around, there are some completely ridiculous, and I advise you stay away from the vast majority of them, Brady specials for this team. There's a couple on like Will he break his all-time passing record at Foxborough, which is like 5,000 yards in a game or something like that. It's like 432 or I don't know, something completely unreachable. The total for his touchdown passes is like 6.5 to break his career record. Don't touch any of that crap. But I'm very excited for that game, and I'm looking forward to sharing my Sunday night lock for that game because I think it's a no-brainer.
I can't wait for the Sunday night lock.
There's a term for those in the industry, Dangs. They're called exotics. And in my experience, if the play with exotic dancers, not exotic props.
That's a nice little tagline. We should put that on a T-shirt.
Okay.
But let's start off with our first segment with the first game of the week. It's the game that's happening tonight. If you're listening to this show the day we release it, it's Thursday Night Football, another vaunted matchup that the NFL gives us for Thursday Night Football. Dangles, it's time to go to our Thursday leans. You are 2-1. I am 2-1. Drew is 2-2 because he likes to give out extra bets every once in a while, but we'll give it to him because he's the hottest gambler on the show. But what do we have on the slate for Thursday Night Football?
Well, it's another barn burner, guys. Two teams going to be vying for playoffs, but no, I'm actually looking at the wrong game. I'm sorry. That's my bad. This is the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road in Cincinnati at Paul Brown Stadium, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati 2-1, Jacksonville 0-3. Jacksonville also 0-3 against the spread this year. The Bengals are 2-1 against the spread and 1-0 on the year against the spread at home. Boy, this is just another banner matchup for Thursday Night Football, Tony Squires.
It's pretty tough.
Boys, don't tell our friend Big Hairy Man that the Bengals might not be playoff contenders because I think it's very clear that the Steelers.
You have a different name for him every time. I love it so much. It's a great. I hope you keep doing it. It's the best thing.
Big Wooly, the Woolly Man, Woolly Mammoth Man, the Bengals fan, Woolly Mammoth. I do think that the Bengals, if they secure this victory, they're 3-1, boys. And
are they possibly a good team? Like, are they kind of maybe starting to look like a squad that can put some stuff together, running the ball very well?
Their defense is a lot. It's improved. Their defense is improved.
I'm not trying to crown them yet, to quote Dennis Green, but they're kind of comparatively resembling more of a football team than they have at this time in years past.
Well, now this is a big week. in the NFL and a big week for gambling because after this we're at the quarter mark and we've now seen enough of a sample size to start to really make diagnosis on these teams. And Cincinnati might be that team that's just good enough to beat the Jaguars of the world, but not good enough to beat the actual playoff contenders. And I think this week will show us because as the point spread shows, they should come out and whoop on the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is a very interesting meeting, though, because it's the last two number one overall picks going head-to-head, Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. I'm very excited to see these two guys go at it. Trevor obviously not having the best start to his season, but that Jaguars team is pretty terrible. And as Drew said, Cincinnati made moves in the offseason, signing guys like Trey Hendrickson and other defensive guys cut from other teams, and improved their defense because of it. They spent a lot of money, but so far it's working. And Big Scary Man Guy, which is his correct name, Drew. He trademarked himself the quest for 7. That win total was at 6.5 entering this season. And if they win this game, as you said, they're 3-1, halfway to hitting that over. A very interesting game. Dangles, I do want to know the exact spread and the total for this game before we give our Thursday leans.
Of course. How could I be so ignorant of that? The spread right now is 7.5 points. I'm sorry, a full 7. I was looking at the wrong thing. 7 points to the Bengals at home. The total's 46.
Guys, Jacksonville stinks.
Yep.
Jacksonville stinks. For the past 3 weeks, I've given out props in the Thursday night lean because, sometimes you just don't know. It's an early week. Some of these teams have short work, short prep, especially if you're traveling on this. I mean, it's not a far trip for Jacksonville, but it's still an early one. So I like to give out props because I like to sort of pinpoint what's going on these teams. I can't figure out Jacksonville at all. That team is a piece of crap. And Cincinnati, this Jacksonville defense is so bad that they might score big early and then kind of just sort of run the ball away late. So I'm not going to go with a Jamar Chase or a Tyler Boyd, even though T. Higgins is out. I just don't know if they're even going to see enough targets because they might not be in the game. Joe Burrow last week only threw 18 times. But I think what I'm going to take, because I'm also not going to take the Cincinnati spread, because I do believe they beat them, and I do believe they could cover, but these Thursday games can get wonky, and those spreads will get you if you keep trying to play home favorites on that, because sometimes they just wake up late that day, and it just doesn't run out, and they end up winning the game, just not by the spread. What I'm going to do, though, is I think Joe Mixon has a day of a heavy workload in this game against a Jacksonville team that has led up a lot of rush yards to everyone that they've faced, especially if Cincinnati gets out early. They sort of lean on Mixon. And I think Mixon is going to find the end zone. You can take him to score a touchdown at -150, -160, depending on where you look. I'm going to tie it together in a tiny little parlay, though. Mixon to score a touchdown and Cincinnati to win the game. That's an even money bet that you can take out there. Mixon to score a touchdown and Cincinnati to win the game. That is my Thursday lean of the week. Dangles, let's go to you.
Well, Vegas thinks that Joe Mixon is going to spend a lot of time holding the football on Thursday. His total for carries right now is at 20.5, and his total for rushing yards is 87.5. So I'm not touching either of those because those are really big numbers. I do think he could get them, but for betting purposes, that's way too much for me. Instead, I know this is square, but guys, I mean, the under in this game, or the total in this game, is 46, and that assumes that we think the Jaguars can put 23 points on the board. I'm just not among the people in that camp, unfortunately. Through 3 games, they've got 8 total touchdowns, and 2 of them were returns. This team isn't able to score and push the ball down the field. And look, we've talked enough about how bad the Jaguars are. There's no identity on offense. I've said that on this show before. The play calls have been just terrible, and I do feel for Trevor Lawrence because I feel like he's kind of been set up to fail here. I would challenge anyone in this rookie class to have done better with the situation that they have in Jacksonville, and how little it seems that Urban Meyer cares about developing this team. And also, Thursday night games are just boring, guys. We saw an example of this last week with the Texans and the Panthers. I'm pretty sure the under cashed on that as well.
Oh yeah.
And these games are especially bad when you've got like a mediocre team on the rise and a terrible team, and that's exactly what we've got here. It's what we had last week. So I'm banking on this being another garden variety Thursday night football game, and I'm betting the under.
Okay, he's taking the under. Drew, we are
46.
still alive in our survivor pool that we took together for some pretty decent money.
Up, Tony.
And I do want to say it is a Thursday night game. Cincinnati is at home. The Jaguars are 0-3. I personally, in my own survivor pool, have bet against the Jaguars each week in said pool because that's how much I don't believe in this Jaguar team. Do you think Cincinnati is a good survivor take right now, or would you be hesitant with the Thursday night quick turnaround?
You read my mind, Tony Squares. I was actually going to proposition you and Dangles live on the air as we speak. I think we should consider the Bengals here for our survivor pool because as our friends from the Betting Predators, once again, Sleepy J and Mac Rivers, rookie quarterbacks versus non-rookie quarterbacks. So obviously that doesn't include a Mac Jones versus Zach Wilson matchup. Rookie quarterbacks versus non-rookie quarterbacks this year, 0-9 ATS. The Jaguars team, Dangle said it best. I mean, we don't have to go over how bad they are, but I think this Bengals team through 3 games is a lot better. I just think they're better on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. I really do. So to answer your question, Tony,
they're blocking well too.
Because you got to think in Survivor, when are you going to use the Bengals again?
Exactly.
And I don't think you're going to have a better opportunity to use the Bengals. I know it's Thursday night, but if you're asking me to have Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence make their first their first NFL win on the road on short rest against a Bengals team that that stadium is going to be fired up for them to be
on
potentially
TV.
3-1. I say we make it official, boys. Bengals for Big Hairy Man.
Take them.
Let's do it.
All right.
What's your Thursday lean then, Drew?
Pick. Yeah, Thursday lean. And Tony, I got to call myself out because we are a pod of transparency. I appreciate you giving me the benefit of the doubt. I did not, in fact, hit my Thursday night lean last week. I had the Carolina Panthers team total, which was a loser. Want to be transparent here. So I was trying to go off the board. I'm going to give another hint, not a bonus bet, a hint. I love the Bengals in a teaser here, guys. I really do. Bet them down to 1. I think it's safe. So that's going to be my hint. I will put the Bengals in a teaser with another team, TBD. But I'm going to try to go a little off the board here with my Thursday night lean. And Trevor Lawrence obviously has not been he's not been good. However, after his first game, he's had 3 rushes of over 10 yards.
Yep.
And I think that the Jaguars or the Bengals have a stout run defense. I think Trevor's going to be kind of under duress. I do like him to break one long run of 10 yards. So I'm going to say my Thursday night lean, Trevor Lawrence, longest rush over 9.5 yards.
I like that. I looked at it too. His total's a little bit low as well. 9.5 yards, Lawrence, long rush. Dangles has the Cincinnati-Jacksonville under for the game. I have Mixon to score a touchdown and Cincinnati Bengals to win, and you heard it here first. The Cincinnati Bengals are this podcast survivor pick of the week. But let's go now to the best game of the week, the Sunday night game, the Sunday night lock section, which I am correct in saying that, no, we still didn't all hit that one last week, but we're trying, folks, we're trying. I messed up last week. I got you this week, and that's coming up next. All right, boys, we've either made money or lost money at this point in the day, but there's still that one last gleaming hope on Sunday, the Sunday night football game, the primetime marquee matchup of Week 4. And right now, folks, if you listened to our show yesterday, the best guess we could have possibly gotten to break down this game, it's the marquee match of the first quarter of the NFL season. And I am so excited to watch this game. I kind of really think I have an exact knowledge of what's going to happen in this game. I know essentially one of these teams really well, and I'm excited to give out my bet because I think it's an absolute lock. But the Sunday night locks are going to be fun. I'm the only one with a losing record so far. I'm 1-2 on the Sunday night locks, thanks to San Fran not doing anything in the first half.
It's a good thing you know so much about this game, then, Tony.
Tony, later in the podcast, we need to address the San Fran thing, but keep going.
Dangles and Drew are both 2-1 in their Sunday night locks after hitting the game over in the San Fran Green Bay game. Diggity Dangles, what do we have for Sunday night football? And I think I hear Adele in the background as you're saying this.
Sunday. Hello.
Yeah.
It's me.
Is there a game on Sunday?
He's back.
Is there a game on Sunday?
Back. Oh, man, it's going to be fun. Underneath the 6 banners at Gillette in Foxborough, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl champs, come to town. It's Tom. It's Gronk. It's Arians versus Belichick. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. kicks off at 5:20 for us here on the West Coast, 8:20 for those of you listening on the East Coast. The spread is 7 points in favor of the Bucs on the road. Patriots 7-point dogs in New England. The total in this game, 49 points. Ladies and gentlemen, it's here. It's one, maybe, I don't know, will there be a bigger game this season? Even if there's more implications.
Yes,
will there
will be a
game
bigger
this
game
season?
because Dangles, I'm afraid that your Patriots stink. Okay, I know we all took the Patriots over.
There is the one little bit where we're not playing great on offense right now.
That's the thing. So, yes, this is a big storyline game, but again, I don't think I think the
that's
Patriots
the
can
biggest
still
part
be
of it.
close to that 8.5 win total. I just don't think they're a guarantee over anymore because that offense is just lacking, and I don't believe it's Mac Jones' fault. Dangles has talked a lot about Josh McDaniels' play calling, and the fact is they're not throwing the ball deep. They're not testing defenses, in that run game is suffering because of it. Also, that offensive line without Trent Brown is a completely different offensive line. Haran on the outside is not doing a good job. Isaiah Wynn is not doing a good job. The interior of that D-line is not getting offensive line is not getting pushed.
Isaiah is really not doing a good job. You're absolutely right about Isaiah.
And Mac Jones, and Warren Sharp broke this down in his podcast for The Ringer. When Mac Jones went to college in Alabama, he was not a dink and dunk quarterback. He was a behind-the-back play-action quarterback that liked to throw the ball deep to the playmakers like Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith. That's not what New England has been calling, and that's not what the personnel that they have is capable of doing. They are very much a 5 yards here, 7 yards here, 3 yards here team. And without James White, who might be missing the season now, it's really going to lack when his check-down players are Jonnu Smith, who my father gave out yesterday as a man who's trying to throw games away. Maybe he's betting on the other side. We don't know if we have a Pete Rose in New England right now. This game is very interesting, though, because I really wanted to take New England +7. I really, really did. But I just cannot do it with the Josh McDaniels offense that we've seen so far. I'll tell you what's going to hit, though, because everyone's talking about how Brady's going to break the all-time passing record. There's actually a bet out there you can take over or under how many completions it takes for Tom Brady to break that 68 yards he needs to break Drew Brees' passing record. Drew Brees will be in attendance. Maybe, Tom Brady's sons will come on the field. They'll give him a kiss, call a national timeout so everybody celebrates it, whatever. What I will tell you it's going to happen, though, for the past 20 years, who has more game tape on Tom Brady than Bill Belichick? For the past 20 years, how many times can Bill Belichick go to a game tape of practice of anything where they've called a defense or gone up against a defensive play that gave Tom Brady trouble? How many times has Bill Belichick seen Tom Brady struggle even just a little bit? Every single thing the Patriots are going to do in this game defensively is going to be done to stop Tom Brady and what he does successfully. Antonio Brown's supposed to come back from COVID, yes. So that adds another player on that team, but this Tampa Bay team cannot run the ball at all. So if all you have to do is stop Tom Brady, who better to do so mentally than Bill Belichick? I think a slam dunk pick in this game right now, I was astonished the number was as high as it was, is the under in this game. The under 49 points. I do think New England keeps it close. I don't think there's a lot of points scored. I think it's a very nervous start for both teams. I don't think a lot of completion. I do think a lot of completions are going to be needed for Brady to hit that number to break that passing record. The under 49 is my Sunday night lock, and I have not been as sure of a bet in the history of this podcast. I know this is going to happen. Dangles, where are you going?
I feel pretty good about mine, too, and I agree with everything you said about how Belichick is going to approach this game with regards to Tom Brady. My only question, I guess, comes down to, do we have the personnel on the field to take on that offensive line and make it happen? It's going to be Matthew Judon, I think, is a big key in pressuring Brady and making him uncomfortable if we want to have a chance in this game. I love that under bet, by the way, Tony. I'm going to go to something I'm very, very confident about as well. And I didn't do a player prop like I normally do in the Thursday Night Lean this time, but I am going to go with the player prop here in this one. And we were talking earlier, Drew, about exotics. And I don't like any of the ones that I see out there on Brady. But there is one on DraftKings that's a weekly special right now that's Gronk over 68.5 receiving yards.
I knew you were going to take this.
No, I'm not. I just want to throw it out there as that I don't hate it. Gronk over
I don't hate it either.
68.5 receiving yards and over 0.5 touchdowns. So he has to get, and I don't hate that at plus 450. That's not a terrible bet. That's not the bet that I'm giving out. The bet that I am giving out is Jacoby Myers over 5.5 receptions, and that number is at minus 130. It's a little extra juice, but there's really good reason for it. That is hit in all 3 games this year so far. He is commanding a 25% target share of that offense. Mac Jones loves to throw to him. I don't have any reason to believe right now that the Patriots are going to change up their offensive game plan. Maybe they take a few more shots downfield, and I hope I'm wrong. Please surprise me, Josh McDaniels. Please surprise me. I would love to come back and say, I was wrong. I can't believe the scheme he came out with. This was incredible. They stretched the defense. I would love to say that next week when we come back for our recap. So please prove me wrong, Josh McDaniels. But I think Jacoby Myers is going to get a lot of targets in this game, just like he has every single other game that we've played this year. Jacoby Myers over 5.5 receptions at 5.5 points. Or, I'm sorry, at minus 130.
Drew, Schaefer the Sharp Crookston. Where are you going for your Sunday night lock, my friend?
Dangles, it's funny you said that because I actually saw that prop too, and I was prepping, and those props are gonna pop out in a game like this because you know that Tom's gonna want to throw about 80 touchdowns. You know he's gonna want to get Gronk in the end zone for sure.
You're talking about the exotic, the Gronk over 68.5 and a touchdown.
And Tony, I got to admit, I kind of lean the other way on the total. I probably won't play it, but you know, the thing about Bill Belichick is this Patriots team, like the Vikings, I think, and you know how I feel about the Vikings, but I do think they're being a little undervalued in the market right now because both the Vikings could be 3-0. The Patriots easily could be 2-1. I just can't help but think a 2-1 with laying an egg last week, does this spread change? Now, obviously, we just saw Sean McVay torch that Tampa Bay defense, and I think, you know, who's better to learn from a outing like Bill Belichick after a horrific offensive performance. Now, I'm with you guys. I don't think the Patriots offense is dynamic. I think that's a lot to do with McDaniels, as Dangles has referenced. But you know, this is a really tough game, obviously, and it's like you don't bet against the GOAT, but do you bet against the coaching GOAT to get blown out? And it's just this push and pull. So I'm looking at this money coming in, and everyone and their evil step grandmother and Ramsey Bolton and Joe Biden, everyone is betting Tampa Bay laying the 7 at home, or sorry, on the road, coming back to New England. You already know where I'm going with this, guys. The sharp is not on that side ever. I do think the Patriots are undervalued. A lot of the power rankings I respect has this game at a much shorter number. So I will bet on the genius Bill Belichick to keep it within a touchdown of Tampa. I'm taking New England plus 7 as my Sunday night lock.
I was torn back and forth between those two bets, the under in New England plus 7, but I think you're right, and I think I'm right, and I'm excited to watch it happen because I want to see a close game. I'd be fine with Brady getting the ball like Aaron Rodgers did the last Sunday night game, having a chance to win it at home and having that crowd cheer against him to see if he can do it against that Bill Belichick defense. I want a close game. I hope the NFL gives it to us, but that is it for our Sunday night locks. Myself, I'm on the under. Drew, you took New England plus 7, and Dangles has Jacoby Myers over 5.5 receptions. But now let's move on to the time when we throw all the bets out there. It's time for the King of the Coast, and that is coming up next. All right, boys, it's time to end the show with the King of the Coast. This is where 3 of the hosts here are going to give you 5 bets to take on the Week 4 slate. 5 bets to take, 3 sides, 1 teaser, 1 total. We've been doing this for the past 3 weeks. Drew, you're killing it. You're 11-4 on the totality of your win-loss record. We do have a point system. The first side we give out is 1 point. The second side is 2 points. And the backup, the Bringstruck side, is 3 points. The teaser and the total are both worth 2, respectively. Drew, your 11-4 record has led you to 21 of a possible 30 points to get. Myself, I'm just above 500. I'm 8-7, 17 points on the year. That's making money. Dangles, you got some work to do. You're 6-9 early on the season, only 12 points in the King of the Coast, but that can all change this week when 10 points are available for you to win. It is Week 4. I'm extremely excited to get into it, and I can guarantee you my first bet is going to make Drew very ashamed of me. But first, let's go to Dr. Dangles himself. Dangles, start us off. What's your first side of the week in the King of the Coast?
My first bet might make Drew ashamed of me as well. I think the Lions are kind of frisky, guys.
Woo!
Chicago, The Chicago Bears just came off a historically bad performance with their offense, as we talked about in our a little bit in our previous episode. And I was reading a little bit up on what things look like this week in practice today. And the Bears insider for NBC Sports Chicago, Adam Hodge, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Either way, said that Dalton was limited in practice, and this is on Wednesday, and Justin Fields practice in full, and that Fields looked fine. Dalton looked far from 100%.
Yeah.
The Ravens, and Lions game was very close. The Lions have played well. They got back into that San Francisco game at home. They played well in that Packers game despite the end score. They fought in that game. They were in that game. Jared Goff's going to throw a million fucking passes in this game. I think the Lions are competitive. I think they're frisky right now. I'm taking the spread, Lions +3 on the road at the Bears.
Love you, Dennis. Thanks,
I will say the Bears, I did some look up for them as well. 191 yards per game so far this year on offense. That's dead last in the league. Only 3.3 yards per play. You can do the math. That means you're facing 4th and inches every single time you're out on the field. A terrible offense thus far under Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. But Dangles, this was my stay away game of the week because
Really?
What do you do if you're Dan Campbell in that locker room after Justin Tucker just kicks a 66-yard field goal to beat you and you're now 0-3?
There's nothing you can do when
What
you
do you
lose
do?
that
You
way.
so-
Flush
so-
it, forget it, and move on, Tony.
Exactly.
That's what he
There's
does.
nothing you can do. There's
How
nothing
many
you can
times?
do.
But how many times can you flush it and forget it? How many times do you have to go out and
Lions are
face
used to it.
Exactly. They're used to losing. Dangles. That's what I'm saying. You need to have heart to win this bet. You need to have a team that is motivated to win this bet. At what point does the sort of levee break and that motivation goes out the window? That Justin Tucker 66-yard field goal may have broken this team. So that's why I didn't take this bet.
I don't see it that way at all. If you're going to lose on a record-breaking field goal, something that is probably going to propel Justin Tucker. He was already probably a Hall of Famer before that kick, but that put him there. He's going
he's the best
now
kicker
for
ever.
sure. You know what I mean? I think that, and you can debate what you think that, and I've seen that conversation going on. You can debate what best kicker ever really means. Is it the importance of the kicks, or is it your accuracy?
Dangles is trying to
and
defend his
holding the
man
record?
Vinatieri, but Dangles.
Because I've thought about this. I've thought about this since then. But my point is, if you're going to lose on a record-breaking field goal, I can't see any other way than be a goldfish and forget about it and go on to your next game. And because, again, it broke a freaking record. What are you going to do?
That's
that
hard to
fucking
forget
sucks.
about. That's
I
hard to
don't know
forget
if
about.
I agree with that.
Well, Tony, listen, I totally respect kind of your thinking, but I completely respectfully disagree with it because the Lions, they had no expectations this year. They've exceeded expectations this year. Even they're 0-3. Think about that. They've exceeded expectations and they're 0-3. I think with this, that word gets thrown around all the time, culture. I think the culture, and even Dan Campbell said, literally, when they asked him about the delay of the game, right? What you know what he said? Oh, we'll probably get a letter in the NFL tomorrow with an apology. We've already forgotten about it. I love this guy. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm not even saying they're going to cover.
That's the difference,
but I
right?
guarantee
They want to play for him.
they will not be hung over from that loss. They will play hard again. I'm not saying that's going to dictate the performance, but that team's done and gone with that. There's nothing to break when you have no expectations, dude. You have no expectations.
I agree.
Let's move on to a bet that's definitely going to lower expectations that Drew has of me, because all last week he was talking about how this team, no matter how good they are, no matter what they can do, no matter what the record is, win, loss, whatever, the Kansas City Chiefs do not cover the spread. I have to say something, though, boys. The Philadelphia Eagles are a terrible football team this year. I think they were smoke and mirrors that week 1 game. I think what we saw against Dallas really proved the point that defense, now that they've lost a few people on it, can be beaten by a good passing offense, which Kansas City has. And that offense, if they get behind, they simply cannot stay in the game. Jalen Hurts is not the downfield passer that you need to come back in a game. I think Kansas City is looking at the AFC West right now. They see 2 3-0 teams. They see the Chargers 2-1 with a tiebreaker over them, and they know it's now time to shake off the cobwebs of last year, step on the juice. We got to get back in this thing. I think Kansas City comes out firing, absolutely firing in this game, and I think they're up 20 by halftime. Kansas City -7 is my 1-point side of the week. Shay for the Sharp, where are you going?
I don't hate that pick, Tony. I might get there for my contest picks, but I think you're right. I
wish it was
Philly,
6.5, Drew. I really do.
Yeah, well, I think Philly is just talk about it. So that's a team that might be a little have broken spirit after that performance.
Yeah.
And Mahomes, back-to-back losses, they'll be pissed off. So I don't hate that. I might get there with my contest. That will not be my 1-point side, boys. Last week, my 1-point side, once again, the Sharp. You think these guys would learn. The Sharp makes a pick. They scoff. Oh, my God. You're betting Danny, or you're betting Matt, the Falcons and Matt Ryan. Oh, my God. And guess what? That thing hit. Because here's my deal, boys. You can never.
They made you sweat a little bit.
Oh, absolutely
no. They made you say that like you had that with confidence, like you weren't sitting
He's
there.
getting a little cocky,
like
Drew.
I am getting cocky because listen to this pick.
Oh boy!
Yeah.
Boy.
Listen to this pick. If you think that was good, listen to this pick.
Saved your ass.
Listen, guys, I'm telling you, this is gonna be a theme for me. We are gonna play mid-tier quarterbacks as underdogs, and we are gonna fade them as favorites. And like I said last week, Danny Dimes does not deserve to be favored against anyone. You know who else doesn't deserve to be favored by more than a touchdown against anyone? Famous Jameis Winston. Give me a break. He is 38 from 63 for 7 touchdowns and 2 picks. Pretty good stats. Wait, that's for 3 games. People have amnesia. They see that score against the Patriots. They think, the Saints kicked their ass.
He's great. He's back.
That
he's
score
gonna
is
throw
completely
for 5,000
misleading.
yards.
Did people forget that they got blown out by the Panthers the week before, and they beat a sleepwalking Aaron Rodgers? Clearly, that wasn't the right team. Guys, Jameis is miserable as a favorite. They're giving 7.5.
Yeah.
Are you joking me? The Giants are a dead under team all day long. This is a low-scoring game. Danny Dimes as an underdog and on the road is a much better quarterback. This is an easy pick for me. Give me the Giants all day for my 1-point side plus 7.5.
Well, it's now time to go to the 2-point teaser, and I'm going to go first, Dangles, because I'm branching off of what Drew just said. Drew, I'm right there with you. And that number in New Orleans made me stay away from that bet. But I will say, this is the first game in the Superdome after Hurricane Ida, the first official home game that these New Orleans Saints, which are a vociferous crew, a wonderful fan base, get to actually see this team live once again for the past, I don't know, what has it been, 18 months since they've had a home game there? It's going to be rocking in the Superdome. And this New York Giant team could be missing Darius Slayton, could be missing Sterling Shepard. Kenny Golladay has a hip issue, and they just placed their best defensive player, Blake Martinez, on the IR with a torn knee. I think this Giants team is falling apart, and the first leg of my teaser is teasing those New Orleans Saints down that they're going to absolutely, for sure, win this game. I could see a backdoor cover. I feel safe with the teaser here. New Orleans is my first leg. Second leg, you see the flag behind me. There is no chance Green Bay loses to this Pittsburgh team. There is no chance Green Bay loses to this Pittsburgh team. I understand the defense could be better. TJ Watt could come back, but that offense seemingly found a groove over the past 2 weeks. My defense is terrible, and I might talk about them a little bit later, but I'm positive that Green Bay wins this game. Green Bay and New Orleans, tease them down to a pick 'em or minus 0.5 on either side. That's my 2-point teaser of the week. Dangles, where you going?
Tony, I'm right there with you on the first leg of my teaser. I also have the Saints down to a 1.5 for the exact same reason. You know, this crowd is going to be there. They're going to be back. My uncle's a cop in New Orleans, and he works those games. And I know I've heard stories about just the way that it is there, and we've all seen it on TV. It's nothing, anybody doesn't know. They're going to be there. They're going to be loud, and I think they absolutely do win that game against the Giants, who are indeed falling apart, who don't seem to have a modicum of a clue what they're doing on offense other than just, let Daniel – who cares if our play breaks down, because Daniel Jones is just going to run and be our leading rusher. The Saints win that game, teasing them down to a 1.5. And then this is a get-right game for the Kansas City Chiefs, Tony. I know you had the spread, and you said that they weren't going to cover that. I think they will if you put them in the leg of a teaser. I have the Chiefs down to 1 point at the Eagles. Kansas City's just a flat-out better team than Philadelphia is. They just got trounced on national television, Philly did, by an offense that isn't as good as Kansas City's. I guess the defense is the only question mark here for me. Kansas City last in the league in defensive DVOA, but I don't think that this Philly offense has the raw talent on the field to go toe-to-toe, punch for punch with the Kansas City offense and Andy Reid, who by all accounts is doing well and should be back on the sidelines this Sunday. So I've got the Saints down to 1.5 and the Chiefs down to 1 point for a 6-point teaser.
Dangles, you want to make that 7, get yourself in a pick'em range, or you good with just paying the 120 for what you got?
I don't know. Let's do an impromptu session of Schaefer the Sharp Gambling School here. Drew, what do you think?
Well, not many games. I think less than 3% of games actually end on 1. So if considering you push on that, Dangles, I'd save your dime there and just play the -1. Yeah.
Okay, then let's keep it.
Schaefer the Sharp, where are you going with your teaser, my friend?
Good teaser legs, guys. Like by the math. Now the Saints game does give me pause because I like the Giants with the spread, but I can totally see the Chiefs. I thought about that, Dangs. A little too public for my liking right now. My first leg will be that flag behind Tony. And here's the thing. Tomlin traditionally is a fantastic coach as an underdog. One of the most profitable coaches in the history of betting as an underdog. He's a rah-rah inspirational guy. But that Pittsburgh team is, they might be done. I mean, they can't move the ball. They can't block anyone. They're so beat up.
Roethlisberger's falling on his face. Just can't even get the.
It's bad. They look so bad. I'm not in love with the spot because I do think Tomlin will have who he has ready to play, and definitely could be a let down game for the Packers. But worst case scenario, if Rodgers has to do something crazy at the end to win, I do think he will get it done. So that'll be my first leg. Guys, I have to do it.
Drew, don't. We talked about this in therapy.
I gotta tease him. I just have to. The number's too good. The matchup's too good. I kind of like him to win. I'm gotta tease the Vikings up to 8. I have to do it. I'm so sorry. It's the NFC North teaser.
All right, look, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
I will sit on the horns if it hits, but this is my NFC North teaser.
We're not talking about this in Dr. Dangles. If you lose this bet, I will not listen.
That's what Dr. Dangles is about. I got to come back, okay? We got to come back. So give me the Packers at 0.5 and the Vikings +8. That'll be my teaser.
I was looking at them +2, Drew. I was looking at them +2. I just think Cleveland's going to be able to run all over that team. And if Dalvin Cook's not there, I know Madison played well last week. I just don't think it's going to be the same. Dangles, let's go back to you, my man. The 2-point side. What's your second side of the King of the Coast?
I looked at that Vikings game too. I really did, because I think that could be a sneaky win for them. But then I thought about how badly Myles Garrett tortured the offensive line of the Chicago Bears last week, and how the Vikings' offensive line isn't that much better. So I decided to stay away from that game. Instead, I'm going with the Rams here, -4 at home against the Cardinals. All I wrote under my notes here, guys, for this is Rams and Fuego. That's all I wrote. I don't know if I need to say anything else about this. I want to see. I can't wait. I mean, let's think about the teams that the Cardinals have played this year: the Titans, the Vikings, the Jaguars. 3 not great defenses when you look at it. You're going to be looking at a Rams defense that's got not only Aaron Donald but Kenny Young, who's having a great start to the season, torturing quarterbacks with sacks and pressure and pass defenses. I can't wait to see this Rams team. I'm all aboard the Rams train. Give me the Rams -4 at home against the Cardinals. I know I've been high on Kyler Murray and the Cardinals in other games, but I think this is a wake-up call for them, for the Arizona Cardinals, when they play against a real football team.
My second side of the day, listen, another team that is en fuego are the Denver Broncos. They are 3-0 on this young season. But if you notice, the 3 teams they played have a combined record of 0-9.
Yep.
Okay, the Giants, Jets, and Jaguars. I think I could beat the Giants, Jets, and Jaguars and be 3-0 myself. I understand that this game is in Mile High and that is a tough place to play. And I also understand that Baltimore is a fumble away from being 0-3 themselves. But this Baltimore team, I think, is lifted from that Justin Tucker 66-yard field goal to bring it up once again. I think Baltimore +1 is a serious undervalue on this team. I don't understand how they are not favored in this game, and especially a team like Denver, who has given up the run pretty well against that team. Denver loves to run the ball versus pass the ball, and Baltimore's rush defense has been pretty good as well. I think Baltimore comes out and wins this game relatively handedly. Baltimore +1 is my second side of the week. Schaefer the Sharp, I know I just went against your Broncos.
Yeah, I might have something to say about that a little later, Tony. But for my 2-point side, I am going to stay in the NFC West with Dangles, but I'm going to play the other game.
I couldn't touch that game, Drew. I was so scared of that game. I'm interested to see where you're going.
Well, let me explain something to you guys. First of all, I have to shout out of loyal listener to the pod, Mr. Aaron Pont. He's been on the show. He has a problem, Mr. Squares, of you saying San Fran. You know, the San Francisco. This is an Hispanic aunt. Okay, this is a proud city of California. So let's call them by San Francisco, or maybe the 49ers or SF or whatever. But you know, for this pod, no more San Fran.
I'm told is the Californian term. Like no one who doesn't live in California says Cali, and I'm sure he doesn't care. But no one who lives, Tony, to relate this to you, to your tiny lizard brain, that's something that you will understand. Does anyone who actually lives in Boston call it Beantown? No, absolutely not. Not a single fucking person. It's the same thing with California.
Right,
no one calls it Cali. No one calls it San Fran.
As everyone I have ever met in the history of California, when I say I'm from Boston, every single one of them starts to do, do you park the car in Harvard Yard? Then sure, everyone has their own Boston accent. So as an outsider to this California nation, I will call San Fran the way I've been calling San Fran since I've been alive. It is San Fran through and through. 49 other states have a say in that as well. But keep going with your boy Aaron Pont.
Okay, well, actually, he'll be happy because my 2-point side will be the San Francisco 49ers at -3. The Seahawks are a sieve on defense, guys. Plain and simple. They are a sieve. They've given up 30-plus points and 450 total yards in back-to-back games. Not only that, they did not score in the second half of the Vikings game. And like Belichick kind of seeing a good game script in the previous opponent with the Rams did against the Bucs, I think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best of copycatting teams' game plans. I mean, I think the 49ers should score. I like the over in this game for sure, but I think they should literally be able to score it well. Now, I hate going against Russ back-to-back losses, but I don't like what I see from the Seahawks here. I think they're a legitimate threat to ruin my Cardinals bet as fourth-place team.
Can the offense of the offense...
Can they keep up?
Can the Seahawks offense be better than the Seahawks defense is worse? And that's not a thing. I don't know. I don't know a lot about betting, but I don't like putting my odds on that.
The Seahawks defense is awful. It's one of the worst in the league. And also, I just think Shanahan's going to be excellent coming off a loss, curbing his game plan to the weaknesses of the Seahawks defense. And, Jimmy G gets a lot of shit, but, he's been fine this year. He really has. He's been fine. And I just think this is a get-right game for the 49ers. Again, it's a division game. I don't like playing against Russ as an underdog coming off back-to-back losses, but I do think this potentially has a double-digit victory for San Francisco 49ers -3.
Yeah, Mr. Unlimited made me stay away from that game, but I'm leaning San Fran as well. Dangles, it's time to go to the total. It's time to go to the squarest bet of the day. These totals are worth 2 points in the King of the Coast. What is the total you have for this week?
I've got the under in the Jets and Titans game.
Oh, I looked at it.
Okay, the Titans defense isn't great, but do we really believe that the Jets are going to put 23 points on the board in this game? You don't get to 23 if you combine the points they've scored from each of the games that they've played this season. I just don't see there's any way that these two teams put 44. I think it's another situation, Drew, you called it, or you mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Cincinnati and Jacksonville, where Tennessee could get out to a really fast start, and then they kind of they don't need to have the brakes on, or they can put the brakes on, and it's just Derrick Henry carries for the rest of the night. I think this under is a no-brainer here. The Jets are awful right now, and you guys talked about it. Zach Wilson's supposed to be playing boring right now. You're not going to score. You're not going to hit many overs playing boring football. Under in the Jets-Titans the total is 44.
I'd actually be interested in looking at the first half under in that game, Dangles, because the Jets have yet to score a point in the first quarter. In fact, Zach Wilson's passer rating, and I know passer rating is not the perfect stat, but Zach Wilson's passer rating.
That's actually a decent bet. The total's 22 for the first half.
Thank you for interrupting me. Zach Wilson's passer rating in the first quarter is a total of 0. In fact, if you go to the 28th person, Jimmy Garoppolo, you would have the same amount of difference as it would take for Jimmy to get to the top of the passer rating in the first quarter list. That opening game script for the Jets has been miserable. But Dangles, you got the Jets Titans under 44. I'm going back to the flag behind me for my total because, again, as I said, I think this offense has found a way to click, and I understand that Pittsburgh defense defense is very good, but those corners can be beat. And in fact, Minka Fitzpatrick is a playmaker, but he does find himself kind of taking chances sometimes. And if there's one quarterback that can make you sort of regret the chances you take, it's Aaron Rodgers, who has been open in saying he owes Marquez Valdez-Scantling a couple of deep balls. And I think we're going to see a couple of deep balls in that game. The number here is 46. And I know Pittsburgh's offense has been terrible. And Pittsburgh's O-line is a very bad unit, as is my Green Bay defensive line. I think Big Ben has a little bit more time to throw over the middle of the field to guys like Deontay Johnson coming back from an injury. Juju could play as well, who'll be open in the middle of the field, and that tight end Freiermuth has been making plays as well. But the big thing that makes me take this over, I can guarantee you right now, if you got props to play, if you got fantasy to bets, if you want to make a trade in your fantasy league, this right here is the Najee Harris breakout game that the Pittsburgh Steelers fans have been waiting for. My lead linebacker, Chris Barnes, is in concussion protocol. My backup linebackers were all over the place against San Fran, especially in the second half of that game, letting everything happen on checkdowns in the middle of the field. Najee Harris, as Dangles has said before, had a litany of targets over the season thus far in the Pittsburgh offense. Najee Harris breakout game coming this week, and my total is the over. Green Bay and Pittsburgh, 46 points. Shay for the Sharp, where are you going?
Tony Squares playing an over on the Pittsburgh Steelers. God bless him. That's why we love him. Keep him around. Brave man, my man. Dangles, I like your bet on the Lions +3. I lean that way. I'll probably play him in a teaser at minimum. But I got to admit, that's not the bet to make in that game. Since the Lions were leading the Packers at halftime, the last 6 quarters, they were scoreless in 4 of them, and they've scored a total of 17 points. The Bears have scored 37 points for the season.
Yep.
Somehow this total is at 42. Now, if you remember, Shave the Sharp took a 42 under last week, and boy, oh boy, that was a nice juicy meat pie as I devoured everything, the gravy and the crust. Well, I'm going right back to the well on an under 42 here. I hope to God Justin Field plays for the Lions. For the Lions' sakes, I hope to God. And can I just say, it's been popular around the media this week, but Nagy's getting all this shit for blah blah blah. But did he not say that Fields wasn't ready? Did he not say that? And people kind of Andy Dalton. I mean, I don't know. He was alarmingly bad. I just hope he starts. But regardless, this is a dead nut under. Give me the under 42 in the Lions-Bears game.
Yeah, it's going to be a terrible football game.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a terrible football game.
I don't think the issue is that he said that he wasn't ready and then everyone was surprised. I think the issue is that he clearly hasn't done anything to get him ready. He said he wasn't ready at the start of the season, and that's why Dalton was starting. But anyway.
Oh my God, a guy who didn't make the job he didn't win the job at Georgia, and he went to a pro fucking.
We've talked enough about 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. Let's move on to the Brinks truck bet, the back up the Brinks truck bet. Everyone on this show hit their lock of the week last week, and we're going to do it again this week. It's time for week 4. Back up the Brinks truck. These are worth 3 points towards the King of the Coast total. Dangles, I'm going to you first, my friend. What is your back up the Brinks truck lock of the week?
All right. Well, Tony, you mentioned this game earlier on, and I was curious to your thinking about this because I kind of saw it a different way, and maybe my tiny lizard brain just didn't process this the right way. I'm a journalist after all. I did not get into a math field for a very
working
good reason.
journalist.
However, I have the Ravens money line here at -105. Now, the Ravens are 1-point dogs on the road here at -115 if you take the spread. The money line's -105. Since you got to win by 1, why pay the extra 10 cents on the spread if you think Balti wins like I do? I mean, I don't know if you think Baltimore wins, Tony, and Drew had mentioned earlier the small percentage of games that finish within, in 1 point. I just think if you think Baltimore wins outright against this Broncos team like I do, you take the money line. As you talked about how Denver is 3-0, but they've played teams with a combined record of 0-9. I agree that Denver hasn't been tested yet. And I grabbed this from an article from Jason Logan at covers.com, who had this great stat. Teddy B, and I'm quoting him, is lulling opponents to sleep with the slowest pace in the league, running a play every 31.99 seconds and mowing through an average time of possession of 36 minutes and 35 seconds. You can do that shit and win games against the teams Denver's played so far. But Lamar and the Ravens offense can score on you very quickly.
Yeah.
And the Ravens might have some players back here on defense. Justin Houston might be back. You also might have Rashad Bateman and Miles Boykin coming back in this game. So all of this to say, I like the Ravens to just win this game outright. I'm taking them on the money line at -105.
Love it, Dangles. Absolutely love it. Schaefer the Sharp, I'm going to go next because Dangles already mentioned this bet as well, and it is my back up the Brinks truck special. I am a little bit worried that the LA Rams sort of blew their load last week, beating the Super Bowl winning Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But again, this Arizona Cardinal team is 3-0 after not playing really three world beaters right now. The Rams themselves are also 3-0. And Sean McVay is favored by 4 points at home. But did you know that Cliff Kingsbury in his short tenure with Kyler is 0-4 against Sean McVay win-loss record when they've played each other? But also, did you know that he's 0-3-1 against the spread against Sean McVay? I just think Clifford Kingsbury versus Sean McVay is a win for the Rams, and I think that's enough to win this game. I will say, the winner of this game, if you agree with me that you think the Rams win this one, the winner of this game's quarterback, I think, is going to be the leader in the MVP race for the first half of the season. So I'd sprinkle a little bit on Stafford if you think the Rams come out on top here over Kyler, because I think Kyler is going to be brought back down to earth against this Rams defense. He's going to have to be superhuman to keep Arizona in this game. Rams -4 is my back up the Brinks truck bet of the week. Schaefer the Sharp, we end with you.
Well, fellas, it's potentially great news for me, bad news for you, or vice versa, because I'm the polar opposite side of two of the bets that you have in both your King of the Coast. My backup the Brinks truck bet here is simply the Denver Broncos, and the reason why is simple. It's not necessarily a play on the Broncos. Obviously, you guys have said facts. They played the 3 worst teams in football. Their stats are they could be watered down, but I believe you guys are forgetting something very important. The Ravens went to overtime on Monday night. Then they played a primetime game and went down on the wire. And then they just kicked a 66-yard field goal down on the wire. The Denver Broncos have sleepwalked through the first for 3 weeks of the year.
Yep.
Mile High is one of the biggest home field advantages of all of football. We have a rested team, home team, playing an exhausted team that not only Denver – again, you don't think Denver knows they've played nobody? You don't think they want to make a statement here and say, hey, we're going to beat a perennial playoff contender? I think this Ravens team, again, they lose this game. They're sitting there at 2-2. It's not the end of the world. Denver really wants to make a statement here. Vic Fangio, Teddy ballgame. So I'll be on their side of it. I know it's going to be a popular play, and you guys are probably on the minority here, but I just really like the Denver Broncos to win. I thought it was going to be a pick 'em. I know we're getting -1, but back up the Brinks truck, Mile High, Teddy covers, Theodore covers, Denver Broncos -1.
So I have an offering here because we do beer bets on this show. In fact, Drew and I have participated in 2. We're on the other side here. But since all of us are in on this game one way or the other, and we didn't plan this beforehand, I have a proposition for both Dangles and Drew. In fact, I've been working on this with the Gaming Society and some of the stuff that they've been doing, but I call it the lipstick on a pig bet, a phrase that Drew used last week when he was making a bet or two. The loser of this bet must give their back up the Brinks truck bet in lipstick next week, since we are a YouTube show now. And if you two are agreeing unto that, I do believe we make that the case in this Brinks truck bet.
So if my team wins, then both of you, since you have both the same side, that's easy.
The loser has to put lipstick on a pig for their Brinks truck bet.
You could have
that's a sharp play.
This is a Canadian doubles match here where you could get a 2-for-1 victory.
Absolutely.
Dangles, do you agree to the lipstick on a pig rule?
Absolutely. Well, and hey, I'm fine. I don't have to go that far to find lipstick because I have a wife.
Same, you loser, Tony. Where are you gonna find lipstick, you loser?
There's a girl named CVS around the corner. I'm sure she'll have something for you.
CVS is beautiful.
Well, on that note, we're going to end the show. That's all for Tony Cavallo, for Schaefer the Sharp, Drew Schaefer Crookston, for Matthew Dangles, D'Angelo Antonio. We are the West Coast Gamblers, a proud member of... I'm just laughing about lipstick on a pig. I'm very happy with it. Anyway, thank you for listening.